Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well. Today I'm going to be showing you my April bullet journal setup and also flipping through all of my March spreads that I created. If you guys are interested in watching my March plan with me, I will make sure to link that in the description of this video. So for March, I did this kind of naturey bird type theme. So my cover page is this watercolor of this bird with some green florally designs in the background. And flipping the page, here is my calendar. So as you can see, I used lots of green and tan type of colors, and I also printed a bunch of photos from Pinterest of like different naturey kind of bird scenes. So for a while in March, I wasn't really using my bullet journal that much like I have in the past. I was kind of just not making my normal list of tasks for the day and using all of my trackers. So I kind of took a break from that for a week or so, and then everything got crazy and my school got put online, so I kind of have to use my bullet journal a little bit more. I still enjoy making the spreads, but I was just feeling a little bit unmotivated with the actual using part of the bullet journal, but things have gotten back on track, so now I am excited to plan out all of my April spreads and get ready for a new month. So now that I have flipped through all of my March spreads, we're going to start planning for April. I can't believe it's already the 4th month of the year. This year has really flown by. But for April, I decided to really embrace spring and the outdoors and colorful flowers. So I made this watercolor of like a bunch of flowers. I started with this like teal, blue, green sky in the background, and then I used a variety of very bright watercolors to add flowers and leaves. I used mostly a combination of blue and this like dark pink rose color. This was probably not my favorite watercolor out of all the ones I've done. Lately I've been in a slump with how they turn out, but once I ended up adding all of the details, here I'm also adding some orange flowers, which helped to bring everything together. And once I let it dry and then added in more details with markers, things started to turn out a lot better. I think I should have let it dry while I was doing all the different layers of paint, but I kind of just decided to keep on going through. So here I am using markers just to add some more details because I wasn't completely happy with how all of the layers of the flowers and leaves were turning out. So I'm also using a white gel pen to add some details so it's a little bit easier to make some of the lighter colors show up. So I'm using a combination of Posca paint pens, my Crayola Super Tips, and also some Tombow markers. And this is how it looks when it is all finished. I used a white gel pen to write April on the bottom and also added some more little flowers for details. So on to my April calendar. As you can see, I chose my colors and photos on the side of the screen, so I'm using a bunch of pink and blue colors. I'll leave the Tombow markers in the description box if you guys are interested. So I'm also using this Tombow Fudnowski. I really don't know how to say that, I'm sorry, but I'm using the pink one to write out the days of the week, and then I am choosing some photos. I printed these from Pinterest just on some photo paper. I'm just figuring out which ones I want to put in this calendar page, and as you can see for the calendar, I used a fine liner to do that, and I also rounded the edges just to make it look a little bit different from what I'm used to. I ended up choosing just one photo instead of two, and then I'm writing April at the top with this teal Tombow marker in some calligraphy. And later on I also ended up adding a light pink drop shadow to it just to kind of pull the color scheme all together. One thing you'll see me do a lot in this video is making these little flower designs. I started with this one for these flowers with a fine liner and just drew a simple outline of like a 4-petaled flower, and then use my markers to color them in. I ended up doing some different variations on this, so sometimes I started with the fine liner, sometimes I didn't do the fine liner at all, like in these over here, and sometimes I used the pink marker that I used prior on some of the flowers just to change things up. So as you can see, I used the teal, dark pink, and light pink for the flowers, and I brought this little design throughout the entire setup for April. On the next page, I have my habit tracker, which I didn't actually do in March. I decided to take a break from it, but I'm excited to get back to using it. So for this one, I made 4 boxes with a fine liner with the rounded edge, similar to the calendar. And then I just used the pink marker to add a little line at the bottom so I could write all of the different habits that I want to keep track of. So I'm just doing 4 for this month. After that, I took my teal Tombow marker and wrote habits in this like calligraphy type font, and also do some of those similar flowers beside it with the dark pink and light pink. And I just started without using a fine liner on these, and then ended up adding in some details with a fine liner on the darker pink ones later on. After gluing in some photos, I just used the teal Tombow marker on the fine point side and added these floral designs, and that is the habit tracker page. So on the other side, I have my goals and favorites. So I used the pink Tombow marker and then added some flowers on the side. So you can see these flowers are a very common theme in this month, which I'm perfectly okay with. I think they're really cute and they remind me a lot of spring, so I just put those all in without any fine liners first, and then I used the same pink marker to add some details on the dark pink flowers. And the next page is my expense tracker. So I took that same pink Tombow fine point marker and just wrote a title at the top, and then used a fine liner to make 4 boxes for my 4 separate expenses. So at the beginning of the year, I sectioned out the different categories for my expenses, so I'm carrying that throughout the entire year. I kind of wish that it was a little bit different, but I mean, it works. The categories could have been a little bit better, but it will have to do for the rest of the year, just because after I put the expenses into the monthly tracker, I transfer them over once the month is done into the yearly part at the beginning of the setup, or the beginning of the year setup, which you can see in my yearly 2020 setup, but it sounds a little confusing, but it's really not. And here I am adding in some more flowers, and as you can see for the titles, I just used the teal marker and then use a black fine liner over top to make the different titles for the expense tracker. So on the other page, I'm doing something completely different, where it's just kind of like a more of a journaling type page called Looking Forward. Especially during this month when I'm at home a lot, I just wanted some space to reflect on what's going on. So I thought this was the perfect addition because I had an extra page and I thought it would be a nice thing to look back on from years in the future. So I'm adding some little details with a Tombow marker over here, along with the photos printed off from Pinterest. And for the last spread, I'm doing my weekly spread for April. I am actually taking inspiration from a spread I did 2 years ago in my 2018 bullet journal for April as well, which is kind of crazy that it's been that long. But I'm using a bunch of different photos, and then for the days of the week I'm using a pink marker in a monoline type of cursive font and doing that all throughout the page. So I enjoy looking at my old bullet journals. I don't know if other people keep them and look back at them, but sometimes I like to, or when I get into a slump with my different spreads, I like to go back and see what I liked in the past. And this was one of the ideas that I had thought that was a really good idea, and I liked how the different photos were around the page and how there was still a lot of space, because sometimes I find when I'm using photos my spreads get squishy, but I think there will be enough room for this week. I'm using this pink washi tape on some of the photos and then adding this similar floral design with my teal Tombow marker. And with this fine Tombow marker, I am drawing these little petal leaf type of designs throughout. It's just a little bit tedious, but I think it looks cute and it makes it look a little bit different. So I'm doing that above 2 of the days of the week to kind of separate the pages, or separate the days in the page, just so I can easily make my to-do list for each day. And of course I'm using the same flowery floral design that I've been doing this entire month with my markers, and just putting that in the corner over here. And here we are at the end of the video where I flipped through all of my month's spreads. So I am actually super into this month's theme. I mean, the cover page doesn't really match the rest of it, but I like how cohesive all of the colors that I use in the actual everything else but the watercolor. So I think it'll be a really fun color scheme to use throughout April as it starts to become more like spring, at least where I live. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will make sure to link down below my March plan with me if you guys are interested. And I think that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!